It just started going downhill. And one drink turned into 5, and 5 turned into blackouts. Waking up every morning without memories from the night before was becoming too common. Drugs were ruining my family and my life. I didn't know how to stop chasing that high. I didn't know who I was without the drugs, without a drink.
Mommy's not here now.
I couldn't take it anymore. I knew I needed help. My family found out about Hope House. When I enrolled into the program, it changed my life. And now I'm on the path to recovery.
I'm Dr. Mary Atear, and I am the Executive Director of Hope House. Hope House is a transitional facility for homeless, chemically dependent women. I'm here with Cindy Dome, our program coordinator, Shelley Mitchell, a successful graduate of our program, the star of the PSA you just saw, and also direct care staff, and Shirley Terry, one of our successful graduates. We're just going to talk a little bit about Hope House, what we do, and the stories of these remarkable women. So Cindy, can you tell us how you heard about Hope House and what brought you there 15 years ago?
In 1997, I was looking for a treatment facility for myself. I had completed a 30-day program in Michigan, and since it wasn't my first treatment, I felt for the best chance I needed to go someplace with longer term. So actually, Hope House was picked out off of a piece of paper, and the word hope jumped out at me, and Fort Wayne seemed like it was close enough to Ohio that maybe I could do some reunification with my family, and I've been there ever since.
We'll hear more about your wonderful family and the reunification that you did manage to achieve, and it's just a remarkable story. Shelley?
How I got to Hope House was 7 years ago. Through my probation officer. I had a choice. I'm not from Fort Wayne either. My probation officer gave me a choice. I could go to prison for 3 years, or I could come to Hope House because I was locked up. And that's how I heard about it. And then my father kept calling and calling to do the intake and things until I had a room ready for me. And that's how I got there.
Okay, and so it was 15 years ago and 7 years ago, and Shirley, you came 4 years ago.
Yes.
How did you come?
Well, I had hit rock bottom and burnt all of my bridges, and it started with a prayer to God, and I asked Jesus to help me, and I called my mom, and my mom was really, really angry at me. But this particular day, she wasn't, and she was really pleasant, and I just told her that I was tired, and I needed help, and I wanted to go somewhere to get that help. And make a long story short, we had called so many places. We don't have any room, or maybe 60, 30 days, but I had lost all hope. I didn't think I could make it for 60 or 30 days, or I didn't think I could make it for even another hour. But we was looking through the computer, and I sat on the bed. Like I said, had lost all hope, and I was hopeless. And I looked back up, and my mom had came to a website that said the Hope House. And I said, go into that site. And that's how I found them. And I called and talked to Cindy. Well, my mom talked to her first, and Cindy said, well, you know, can you make it for 3 days? If you can make it for 3 days, then I want you to come up, because they don't want you to come there already on something. So I tried my best. I had drunk a beer, but I did, you know, I got there, and that was the greatest day of my life, one of the greatest days of my life.
Wonderful. Well, the mission of Hope House is to provide homeless, chemically dependent women with opportunities to pursue recovery and self-sufficiency in a healthy, supportive living environment. So I would like to ask each of you what the mission of Hope House means to you. Cindy, can we start with you? And you can answer that either as somebody who's been through the program or as a staff person, or maybe the answer is both of those.
Well, I think from personal experience for me, it was supportive as far as I didn't feel alone. I felt that somebody understood. I felt welcome. Hope House is a wonderful place for that. They made me accountable, which, you know, in the end is one of the most important things. They did assist me with, at first, recovery, going to 12-step meetings, getting a sponsor, doing the things that not only they suggest, but part of the requirements. And then they assisted me with, you know, getting a job and how I was going to get there and building those type of skills, because I hadn't worked in a long time. And so to, you know, learn how to be on time and to learn how to, you're going to work today whether you want to or not. All of those things that, you know, I don't know that I really forgot, but I hadn't practiced them in a long time. So, you know, all of those things. And then, you know, I definitely was homeless. I didn't have a place to go. And, you know, like Shirley and Shelley, I didn't really have any hope to get clean. I really didn't think it was going to happen. I just didn't want to keep doing what I was doing. So I was actually there for quite a while. I wasn't a 4 or 6 month wonder. But we did it that way on purpose. And so by the time I left, I was self-sufficient. I could take care of myself. I could take care of my 15-year-old daughter, who I got custody of. And now, you know, I just try to do the same thing. And Hope House now has changed in quite a few ways. We definitely are able to assist now as far as employment and, you know, to pursue that self-sufficiency. And, you know, with self-sufficiency, it's not just employment. It's, you know, to depend on ourselves, to not depend on family to caretake us and to, you know, do everything for us. And, hey, Mom, can I have a pack of cigarettes or, you know, whatever. No, you know, Hope House does not do that. We don't do that. And so by the time that they leave, they're not homeless anymore. They have a place to go, whether it's their own or back with family. And I think that we have either taught them or assisted them with obtaining the skills that they need in order to stay clean and sober.
Yes.
Thank you. Shelley?
Well, let's see. For me, because I did drugs for so many years, and I never even, where I come from, recovery wasn't an option, or I had never heard of it or whatever. But when I got there, I remember I was just so, I was tore up from the floor up when I got there. And I'm so grateful for the Hope House. But not only that, you know, I had been estranged from my family for so long, and part of my story now is that I did get my family back. Because when I was running in and out of jail and all that stuff, my daughter was the mother of my younger children for a couple years. And, you know, that's no longer the case, of course. But, you know, I needed somebody to tell me what to do, to give me some structure, you know. And just like Cindy had said, you know, I hadn't worked for years either, you know, because of the disease of addiction. But I needed to be accountable and get structure back in my life, you know. And I had to find me first, you know, in order for me to get back my family and you know, their trust. And you know, and it's you know, it's a wonderful program. Because, and I will say this one, you know, and Cindy or somebody else might tell you, when I got there, I was the biggest crybaby. I cried every day. You know, I'm still a crybaby, but that's okay, just because I'm so grateful, you know. And I thank God that I didn't give up, because actually when I was there, sometimes I just wanted to give up, because I'm like, oh, I can't do this. But, you know, that's not really what I wanted. I knew that that's what I wanted, but, you know, and it's full of structure, you know, and that's exactly what I needed. I needed to make somebody be responsible, be accountable, you know, and all those things in order for me to be the a productive woman in society today, and that's, what I do today, and I just thank God for that. When I had to go to meetings and get a sponsor, and do all those things, and I had never heard of that before, so I'm like, what is that? But anyway, and it's okay today because, I still continue years later with my recovery as well. I still go to meetings and have a sponsor and sponsor people as well, but, and I've worked the same jobs. I have 2 jobs I work for over 4 years now, and that's something that I didn't do when I was using either, So I'm just real grateful that everything it has taught me. It's a wonderful program.
Thank you. How about you, Shirley? You came to Hope House 4 years ago. What does the mission of Hope House, providing opportunities to pursue recovery and self-sufficiency in a healthy, supportive living environment, what does that mean to you?
Well, like Shelly and Cindy, I also wasn't from Fort Wayne, so when I got here, like I said, I just was I had lost all hope, and so when I got there, I had promised myself and my God that I was gonna be willing to do anything that you guys asked me to do, and because like Shelly was saying, I was so grateful, and I had lost a lot of skills and things that, like how to make up the bed or get up early in the morning and wash your face and actually brush your teeth, and Hope House teaches you that, because a lot of us lived out on the streets. We didn't have no toothbrush. We didn't have nothing to wash our face. We literally woke up with the same clothes on, and we stumbled around. We didn't live, we survived. And so when I started seeing myself gain some weight and I can smile, and also another thing Hope House does is with activities. The first time when I went to a ballet, I never had been to a ballet, and I got to go see the Nutcracker, and that was just an awesome thing to me. I'm about to cry. And it makes you feel like you are a part of society, so you want to be a part of society. And that's what Hope House does. It brings women back into society, and makes us be responsible, productive members of that society. And, and we are women. So I have to speak what I am. I'm a woman, and I'm a mother. And my children today, I had, like, when I first got there, I was talking about the bridges that I had burnt. And now all of them are mended. When I graduated, my whole family, my stepdad never went nowhere. He got up and came to see me graduate. He died, I think, 4 or 5 months later. But he was so proud of me.
That's a beautiful story. And the graduation is here in the library. We do what we call the celebration of success. The next one is on September 10th. If anybody wants to come, it's a moving, very moving ceremony.
Yes, it is.
I wonder if you could. Some of the people who might be watching this might not really understand what addiction is, and so I'm wondering if you could say personally, how did you realize that you were addicted to drugs and alcohol? Because a lot of people use, but they're not, they deny that they really have an addiction. And then as part of that, maybe, when did you know you needed help? Anybody?
I guess I'll go first. I guess for me, I can talk about what drugs I use, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. I had shot up dope for almost 30 years. And before I came to Hope House, I had been doing meth for 15 years. It's just now coming, like, to Fort Wayne, but in my town where I came from, it was really big for a long time. And I guess I was so caught up in the disease of addiction that, I didn't even know I was an addict. I mean, I guess I never even thought about it because that was my way of life.
Right.
And I do know today that the disease of addiction, you know, consists of the obsession and the compulsion to use drugs. You know, what comes along with the unmanageability and the insanity and all those things. But and once I got to Hope House, you know, I started, you know, and going, you know, having the counseling and doing all that, you know, I realized, dang, you know, I was an addict for all them years, you know, and it's just, and one thing, I mean, this weighs on my heart now is because for so long I did meth, and, you know, it's coming more to Fort Wayne now, and I'm just real grateful when more people come to the Hope House now with that, because back when I came, there wasn't nobody ever even on that particular drug, and nobody made me feel different when I was there either, you know, because a lot of other people were doing different things, but that's what I was doing, and you know, and that, to me, that's what part of the Hope House does as well. You know, they don't judge you. You know, it doesn't matter what you did on the streets or where you lived or what drugs or how you used them or alcohol or whatever, but you know, they're all about helping you to get better. But the disease, you know, for me, the disease of addiction is finding ways and means to get more when I couldn't, you know, didn't have money or whatever. So I did whatever it was took to get, you know, whatever it took to get them, and that's how I got here, I guess.
Well, for me, it started as a party, you know. 16, 17-year-old, you want to go out and people drinking beer when they don't supposed to be. And you tried that when you didn't supposed to be. And so now you pick up something else and then something else. And the years are going by. Next thing you know, you're not 17 no more. You're 25. You know, and mother raising children when she's supposed to be retiring. She's raising my kids. And when I really realized that I was addicted is that I couldn't go to sleep or I couldn't stay woke without it. I had something to be high. I had to be high at all times. I used it to be for a celebration. I used it for a sad time, a funeral. I used it for everything. It wasn't nothing that I didn't use to get high. And if I couldn't use it to get high, I didn't want to be around it. And so it made me isolate. You know, if the family was going to for a family reunion out of town, if I couldn't make sure that my connections or I couldn't have my drugs or I couldn't bring it, I would make up excuse why I couldn't go, because it became my life. And that's when I knew that I was addicted. That's when I knew that because it became my life. I loved it more than I loved my children, and that's a sad thing to say, but it was true. It's the truth, you know. Because anytime you don't want to raise your children because of a substance, a chemical substance, and by the way, I must say, I believe that alcohol is a drug.
Absolutely.
And that was my first drug of choice, alcohol. And then it became anything that would get me high. It didn't matter.
So when you get to that low point in your life and realize you need help and you come to Hope House, maybe Cindy, as a program coordinator, you can talk a little bit about what kind of help, what are the services that Hope House provides?
Well, we do everything. When people call and ask if it's a halfway house, I always tell them Hope House doesn't do anything halfway.
That's right.
We provide services as far as transportation, as far as education, counseling. You yourself do individual, counseling sessions with them. We assist with life skills, the whole making your bed, learning how to cook. In fact, we actually have one of our alumni's mothers who put a cooking class together, and they are currently coming the third Wednesday of every week, or every month, and that's just some of the women don't know how to cook, and some of them do, but, it's just for fellowship also. But to learn those skills and how to clean a house and education. You know, Hope House now, if they don't have their high school, you know, diploma, we're very big on, look, what can we do to help you to get that, you know?
And we just had somebody
yes,
grad
we
to
did.
get their GED
Yes.
with honors.
You know, and I can't imagine anything. I tell people I can't imagine anything that we don't do, and if we don't do it, we can find somebody that does. I mean, I think we assist with budgeting and finance, employment, you know, and I think one of the biggest things is we allow the women to grow and turn into what they were always meant to be.
Yes.
With support and hope, you know, and God, you know.
Yes.
Can never leave God out.
Okay, do it.
Right. We do have an excellent program that tries to address all the various needs of each woman, and recognizing that we can't be everything to everybody. We do work very closely with a lot of other agencies in the community. Family and Children's Services provides counseling and parenting classes and family counseling, and Park Center works with our residents, and we have a really good employment specialist who helps the women find work. And then the volunteers, like Cindy mentioned, volunteers have been wonderful. From the cooking class, we have a volunteer who's teaching jewelry making. We have vegetable gardens that were put in by volunteers from the Junior League. So I think that what makes us so special and so unique is that it's really a community effort. And so talking about all those services, I wonder, Shelley, if you could say, what did you learn from your stay at Hope House that has helped you the most in your life experiences?
I would say it gave me definitely structure, you know, and it gave me commitment. You know, I learned how to make a commitment, because when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You know, which goes along with the accountability. But, you know, also a big part of my story is I got my family back, and I had mentioned that earlier, but it wasn't easy for me at first because my family didn't talk to me. You know, and it took quite a while to get that back. You know, and even when I did get my children back, you know, that still took a long time, because I had two that were willing to be with me, and one of them that was real angry. So it made me a better person, you know, through, you know, in everything. Because today, like I say, you know, I'm real responsible, you know, and I'm committed to, you know, I'm committed to Hope House as well. You know, not only am I direct care staff there, but, you know, I will take women to meetings if they would like, you know, if they ask me or whatever. You know, I try to help them, you know, in any way that I can as well, because that is part of me giving back. You know, and not only giving back to Hope House, but I feel like that I try to give back to the community as well. Yes. You know, I'm no longer a menace to society like I used to be. So, and I'm just real grateful. I'm just stay grateful.
Gratitude is really a very important part of recovery. Can you tell us about, you know, you mentioned how it took a while for your family to your children to forgive you and to trust you again. Can you tell about an experience that happened recently that shows that kind of trust, how they trust you now?
Yeah, I'm going to cry. Yeah, I'm going to get it here. Hold on a minute. My daughter last year got married, and it was a daughter that I talked about, you know, that she had raised her two sisters for a couple years while I was in and out of jail and at the Hope House and everything. And, you know, it was a real honor for me to be a part of her wedding. And because she was one of them that told me she would never talk to me again if I used, and I did. And I did use, and I knew that the consequences was going to happen, you know, what the consequences were going to be. But, you know, last year when she got married, you know, I was like the proudest mom ever. And also when, you know, when she walked down the aisle with her dad, they played this country song, you know, "Mama, you taught me to do the right thing," you know, so that was really, really emotional for me, you know. But sometimes people might think that the little things don't mean a whole lot, but to me that was like a huge stepping stone for my relationship with my family. You know,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks.
Cindy, would you also tell your story of how, you know, you mentioned that it took a while for you to get custody of one of your children. You have 2 daughters. Can you talk a little bit about how that's
Well, my
developed?
oldest lived in North Carolina. I hadn't seen either one of my girls in about 2 years. And the other one lived in Ohio with her dad. The oldest, she lived with her godparents in North Carolina. And unfortunately, by the time I left Martha's place, her godmother had passed away from cancer. I went to North Carolina to what I thought was going to be custody papers and, you know, to get it worked out. And what ended up happening was when I got there, her godfather said, that it was time for her to go. So I called who was then my ex-husband and asked, you know, what do I do? Because him and I had started to make a relationship with my youngest at that point because she was in Ohio. And though her dad and I still weren't together at that time, he was very supportive of that. But it took a while, you know. I was clean a good 1.5 years or maybe even 2 years, you know, before, you know, the trust was, okay, I can leave Aaron with you and I know, you know, it's going to be okay. I called him on the phone and asked him what to do, and he picked Jessie up. Long story short, I had custody of her by the time I left.
And where are they? And now?
My oldest graduated with her bachelor's degree, but she also went back to school, and she just graduated with her master's, license in social work.
Isn't that wonderful?
She was for a while working in nonprofit. Right now she is trying to obtain full-time employment through a place in Indianapolis. My youngest daughter has graduated from college, and she currently works on an equestrian therapy farm with troubled physically and mentally disabled children and adults, and she works there.
Wow.
So now both of my girls, in one way or the other, also give back.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
That's wonderful.
I think that it's this has just been a very moving conversation.
Yes.
And I want to thank each of you so much for sharing your hearts and your stories that are so moving. I guess one last question we don't have much time, but Shirley, if you could just say, how do you stay clean? How do you maintain your recovery?
I do the same things that I've been doing for 4 years. I get up, I pray, I thank God for that day, and I keep recovery first. Because we do not recover. We're always recovering.
Right.
It's a journey. It's a process.
And we encourage our graduates to come back to Hope House and mentor others, work for us, and we hope that anyone will look at our website, call us for more information, and thank you very much.